This is not the show we anticipated doing for you today. We actually had a whole different show, but given what's happened to Charlie Kirk in a devastating situation in Utah, he has been taken down by a bullet and died earlier today. And so we are going to talk about that. Christy's here. Jay McCleskey's here. We have a unique setup here. No, there are no three shots. You can't see everybody at once, but I promise you we are all in the same room together. And I just want to start by, first of all, getting some reflections from you guys and understanding the point that, saying a quick thing here, because of some of the platforms and the way that they take certain words and throttle down the reach of certain shows because of it, we have to be careful in the way we speak about this. We understand exactly the magnitude of this, and the words that are being used by everybody are exactly correct. And when what happened to Charlie today was devastating and horrendous, and it is part of a larger pattern that we're going to talk about here in a bunch of different ways. But I just want to get you guys to give us your take first. I guess, Christy, just thoughts when this all went down earlier this afternoon.
Well, it's horrific, and it's almost one of those things that you don't believe is happening when it is happening. And I think what's so interesting is the influence he's had on so many young people, including our kids and some of my students I teach. Immediately it's interesting to see that's who found out about this news first. And the youth of today are who started spreading this information really quickly because his connection was so strong with a lot of younger people. So to hear about it through your kids and their perspective on this, it's horrific. It's like your worst nightmare. We're not going to show the video, but the video is horrific. So, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is huge. I think it's bigger. It feels different because of everything that happened. But like you, my son was the one that first sent me the video, and I'm pretty plugged in, but he had it right away. My son and daughter both follow him, and I think it's shocking to them, and you realize your kids here. And it's a huge political story, obviously, the impact he's had on politics. But we also got to remember, speaking of kids, this guy's a dad. Mm-hmm. With young kids who just had their father taken from them.
Right.
Because of this guy wanting to debate in a public square. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And we're going to get to that because I think that's the part of this that I want to make incredibly clear. There are going to be people as this continues to develop over the next couple of days that are going to try to tell you that Charlie Kirk is far right or he's an extremist or whatever. He's not. He's not. He spoke regularly of his faith in God, and what he tried to do every single day was say, let's debate it. And wait till you see the first soundbite we have from him taken 2 days ago. It was prophetic. It was prophetic in what he said. So this whole thought that he's some sort of extremist who had it coming is horrendous and not true. And some of the reaction to him and what happened to him today is off the charts horrible. I mean, we're going to point out some of that as well. There's no doubt.
I mean, it's just cowardly. It's just, the whole thing's disgusting. I don't think the gunman deserves any awards or kudos for what he did. It's a cheap shot that probably anyone could do down at this range on the west side of Albuquerque.
Yeah.
But especially with a hunting rifle with a scope, if that's what it is. Again, we're doing this quick. We haven't confirmed everything.
Right. And just a couple quick details on this and what we know. Number one, Charlie Kirk had just begun speaking to about 3,000 students at Utah Valley. And so he was sitting, as he usually does, under a canopy. And then what ended up happening was he was answering question number 2. You could see, you heard a shot fired, and then he was hit in the right side of his neck, it looks like, or left side of his neck, excuse me, as he was sitting there. And it's horrendous video. So I would just, please, if you don't, stay away from it. I just don't even want to get into it and show it in any way, shape, or form. And really, judging by the video, he had no chance. Right. He had absolutely no chance.
Well, let's throw to this first announcement. This is the first people that we could find that could make a confirmation. It was on Real America's Voice shortly after when we were all kind of questioning what's going on. Is Charlie Kirk okay? And this was the very first news to break that. So we want to play that clip for you right now.
In John Solomon. John, is he with us? Are you with us, John? Yeah. You're reporting Charlie has passed. Tell us what you know, John.
to multiple officials in the United States government and 2 personal friends, but he passed a short while ago, wasn't able to survive the blood loss from the wound to his neck. There'll be some announcements soon, is what I'm told. And then we'll have to sort through what happened today, who's responsible, and try to understand how something so senseless could occur.
Now, it's important to note, too, Real America's Voice is where Charlie Kirk's show airs. So the minute that happened and John Solomon came out, it was like, okay, we know this is it, because they had very good sourcing on this, clearly, because they had obviously been very close to Charlie. And then President Trump, shortly thereafter, issued this: the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you.
Okay, and I know this kind of seems a little trite, but I want to make sure that everybody knows who Charlie Kirk is. I actually have gotten some text today when I actually reached out to people to let them know, and they didn't know who he was. Again, he's very well known amongst anybody that's in the political sphere. And the youth of today really, I think, have really tapped into him. But Charlie Kirk was 31 years old. He was married with 2 young kids and a political activist that started Turning Point, I believe, at the age of something like 18 or 19.
18 in his parents' garage, where he was making cold calls to donors to give him money to start.
He actually, one of the donors from the Republican Governors Association, helped get that off the ground in 2012. And the impact he had, you talk about how well Republicans did with Gen Z voters and shocking the Democrats. Well, he played a big role in that. He would show up at college campuses and debate and bring a conservative message and have the debate. And because those views aren't really told much in college campuses by professors or anyone else. And he knew that, and that's why he set out to do that. And he accomplished, he built a movement. And there's not many people can say they built a movement. Yeah, and you go back to, he had his hands, a big impact, including in your governor's race. If you remember, when Governor DeSantis came out here, it was Charlie Kirk's organization who organized that and helped get him out here.
No, it's very true. And we ended up having Governor DeSantis down in Carlsbad, but had Charlie Kirk not set that up, because he had kind of a swing that came through here and it came through Arizona and went to go see Carrie Lake, we would not have had him here, I don't think, by any stretch. And they paid for him to come out here.
They paid for Charlie Kirk's organization.
Yeah, and they also do something which was huge. They do a lot of get out the vote. I mean, they really do. And that's something that we need in this state that we're looking at doing. There's no question that's going to be some of, I think, what we're going to do going forward here is more get out the vote stuff. And that's one of the things that Turning Point did. But Christy, you mentioned it. It is that personality that went out and wanted to talk one-on-one. So 2 days ago, there was video taken of Charlie Kirk, and someone came up to him. I think it's a British woman or something like that, walks up to him and says, "Hey, why do you do this? Like, what is going on?" Like, because people who don't know him don't understand what he's really doing. Right. So if you sit there and watch a whole hour and a half that he does with these college students, you see that he's engaging back and forth. One thing you very quickly get with him is he's very smart. He's very well read. Like you're crazy if you don't think he's super smart. He is. I know he didn't go to fancy colleges and everything else. He didn't go to college. Didn't have to. I'm telling you, just listening to him, how well read he is on the Bible, how well read he is on American history. It's impressive. So I want you to just listen to this, because this soundbite here is not only prophetic, it's heartbreaking when you listen to what he says, because honestly, he's sort of predicting in a way his own demise.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend, because people like me are facing violence, assaults, the left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put it on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
Wow.
Very telling, and so just so sad that, and prophetic, really, the fact that he just shot that was just aired a couple of days ago. So I pulled this clip from Fox News. They did a nice tribute for Charlie, and I wanted to share some of this with you guys at home as well if you have not yet seen it. And so we're going to play that for you right now.
A household name in conservative politics, Charlie Kirk was a teenager growing up in the Chicago suburbs. He told the Daily Caller in 2019 he knew early on politics mattered.
I was always naturally conservative, loved America, loved the values that our country stood for, and I never understood why you'd want to deviate from that.
Kirk thought he'd end up at West Point, the Army's military academy, but after being denied admission, he chose to start something for himself.
It's that old adage, one door closes, another door opens. Of course, it's correct.
In summer 2012, Turning Point USA was born. What started small later became a political juggernaut, a conservative youth activist organization now operating on 3,500 high school and college campuses. Kirk explained what drove him in his first Fox appearance 13 years ago.
A lot of kids are feeling the effects of what we like to call, with the Washington economy, with a lot of debt, plummeting small business, with higher regulation and high taxes.
As the Tea Party movement evolved, Turning Point USA grew. So did its influence. The AP writing Turning Point events became more ornate, taking on a nightclub atmosphere with strobe lights, pyrotechnics.
So that gives you a little bit of background on Charlie Kirk. And again, like they said, his influence with youth was phenomenal. I mean, I think the fact that he was in, kind of close to them in age, he understood kind of what their background was, what they're thinking. Another thing that happened today, when this went down, shortly thereafter, our daughter who attends Liberty, Ava attends Liberty, sent us these pictures. They did a prayer vigil for his family immediately. She said thousands of people showed up on a moment's notice. Charlie was scheduled to speak at Liberty in just a short amount of time. And so this is part of a tour he does with these college campuses. And that's where he was today when this tragically came to a screaming halt for him.
Yeah. Okay, so you get a feel for Charlie, and it really is an unbelievable legacy, even as short as it was at 31 years old. But let's talk. I want to talk in a broader sense, you guys, about where we are with political violence, because it is raging out of control. And I don't think we can, create this little world where you try to do some both sidesism and everything else. I don't think that that's where we are right now.
No, I mean, I've been in politics for almost 30 years. And it's gotten out of control. And I truly believe the liberals are gone. There's a militant left. And yeah, we have some on our side, but the militant left is very aggressive on this stuff. And to ignore it and claim, do the both sidesism, I just don't think is accurate. I think it's about silencing. And this thing with Charlie was about silencing him. And it's about when you demonize somebody so much. And I go back to calling people Nazis.
Yep.
And again, I've been in politics a long time. You said that. Your career was over, and now it's a talking point on every fundraising email coming from a left-wing candidate. You talk about their conservatives want a genocide against the trans community. When you talk like that, you're basically licensing people. Why wouldn't you take someone out who believes in genocide and is a Nazi? And I just think that stuff gets off the hook. And the violence, it's clear. I mean, it's obvious everywhere.
Well, this gunman today accomplished what they tried to do to Trump in the campaign. I mean, it was that close for Trump, too. It was that close. Right. So it's like, take a shot at Trump, almost kill him. Get a shot at Charlie Kirk, kill him. Because of exactly what you're saying, Jay, which is if every time they are a Nazi, then people who are on the edge of their faculties or people that are losing it. We're not saying every Democrat's coming out and wanted to do this. They're not, clearly.
Right.
In fact, some of them view it as nasty as you can, meaning what they're looking at this as is they're looking at it as a means to an end. Just demonize the other side. It's no big deal. It's a big deal when you've got people on your own side that can't distinguish between what is just rhetoric and a cheap talking point designed to take a shot at your opponent and what could actually send someone over the edge to action.
Right. And what bothers me is, and I get upset with the media on this, because what they're going to say about Charlie Kirk now is this extreme right, this, that, and the other. He was debating. Like that's as American as you get. He was coming out, and if you look at the sign he has up, it's "Prove Me Wrong." He wanted people who disagreed with him to debate, and somehow he's extreme. But people burning down police stations and rioting are patriotic, and that again, that we have to call things the way they are.
Yeah.
Well, and let's not forget, he came here to UNM in 2022. And I mean, protesters, even back in 2022, were letting it rip at Charlie for trying to be here on campus. It says state police. This is an old KOB article we pulled. It says state police detained 3 during protests on UNM campus. Charlie Kirk is the founder of Turning Point USA, a conservative nonprofit group that proclaims to promote freedom and limited government. He was invited to speak at UNM by the Turning Point Student Organization.
Listen to that, claims.
I know. I said that. Proclaims to promote. Yeah. Other students with different viewpoints wanted to make their voices heard. Kirk waved to the dozens of protesters that had gathered at UNM. Campus police enlisted the help of New Mexico State Police in riot gear to detain 3 people, including 1 UNM student. All were issued a criminal summons for interfering with officials or the general public, which is a petty misdemeanor. And here's a quote from the UNM spokesperson. Yesterday evening, they were engaged in response to the actions of individuals failing to disperse from the event entrance ramp when they were requested to do that. University officials said there was no property damage, and Kirk's speech and the protesters' free speech were successful.
Okay, well, speaking of that, here's the interaction between Charlie Kirk and the crowd who was there to give him the one-finger salute, basically. But again, some of this is, you see in a way exactly his approach, which is joyful. He's not screaming back at him. He's not freaking out on this whole thing. He is and they, believe me, they are screaming some horrendous stuff here if you take a close look at the video. But that's something that never bothered him, ever.
Right, and he's just debating ideas, and he wanted to debate people who disagreed with him. And, you know, and that's how he changed minds. Well, and that's what we're supposed to be as a country. I remember when going to school, starting off in politics, no one used to say, "Oh, you can't say that," or "You can't believe that." And that's what I think's really changed, to where now you have, especially on college campuses, "Oh, no, you can't have that opinion."
Yeah,
that's the wrong.
Well, the biggest thing he talked about at Turning Point in some of his conventions, especially, was just the fact that he believed, let's make sure that we're protecting the freedom of speech. And I think whether you agreed with Charlie Kirk or you did not agree with Charlie Kirk, the fact of the matter is this is a horrific way of going about it, right? This is to end somebody's life, a young father, a husband. Like, it's really sad. So,
well, and what worries me about this is that it does not. We think now, and you see, there are a lot of people who are saying very conciliatory things on all platforms. A lot of our leaders are. There's no doubt. Some are not, which we'll get into in just a second. But some are, and you kind of get this feeling of, oh my gosh, what a mess this is. Hopefully, this will allow us to pivot and change. I worry that it will. I don't think it will,
because I think. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's getting worse. Someone's in prison now, right?
Yeah, no, we'll show you that in a second.
I mean, you faced violence multiple times, multiple instances in your runs for office.
Right.
I just worry that it gets people accept it. They get, immune to it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And so the reaction from MSNBC as this is all going down, what I'm about to show you, I can't even believe happened. But I want to show you Matthew Dowd, who is on an MSNBC, somebody who truly is. This is just horrendous what he says here, and he not only blames Charlie Kirk for his own death. The way he lays all this out is awful. And so I just want you to...
Mark, before you play that, realize this guy's a political consultant. He's a speechwriter. This is not misspeaking, okay? This is what he truly believes.
Right. And this is what this guy's an alleged pro who should know that situations like this are incredibly volatile. There's plenty you don't know, but look where he goes right away.
Talk to me about the environment in which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, I emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in. Then lead.
It's stunning.
Just unbelievable.
Now, here's what happens, though. MSNBC, their PR team gets together and they put this tweet together because they realize they've stepped in it now. It says, statement from MSNBC President Rebecca Cutler, quote, during our breaking news coverage of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, Matthew Dowd made comments that were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable. We apologize for his statements, as has he. There is no place for violence in America, political or otherwise. The frustrating thing is that that's not what this guy's go-to was. His go-to is like, hey, he brought this on himself.
Why didn't the host call him on it immediately?
Right, and shut that down.
Of course not. She totally agreed with it.
Wait until there was blowback.
Well, by the way, let's not forget the hee-haw version of this, where his supporters are firing them guns in the air. That's could have been how he was killed. First and foremost, that shows you his mentality for a conservative, right there. And it's just like, stop. And then the hateful thing is just not true. If you go watch what Charlie Kirk does, whether you agree with him or not, portraying it that way is ridiculous. And even if you did think what he said was hateful, it doesn't matter. Part of this country is, and part of the value of the United States of America versus, say, Britain, where you can't do this anymore, which is say what you want. I don't care how dumb it is.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't. That's what we're all about in this country.
It's a cornerstone.
Yeah. I mean, it's just unreal. And so Matthew Dowd it's horrendous. The problem is it's not an isolated event. So then Katie Tur, who was doing that interview with Dowd at the time, she decided to cover herself in glory as well. So she couldn't help herself, right? She couldn't help herself. And she said, you know what? Donald Trump is going to use this shooting to his advantage. That's what she's saying here. Check this out.
After one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C. to get things under control. The carjacking situation, he used that. And I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
Oh yes. And I wonder why we have people going off the deep end. Because people like this, not only politicos, but the mainstream media is saying, look out, he's going to use this. It's another one of those lines. What she's saying is, he's coming for you. That's what she's saying.
Instead of like a Walter Cronkite who covers when JFK was shot in Dallas, which was just like, it didn't matter. And I know that he was the president, but still, the focus wasn't, it doesn't matter if you agree with this person politically or not. We're not in the day and age that you just go and take somebody's life when you disagree
But maybe we
with
are
them.
in that day and age.
Well, and the sad thing is, some of my friends, they're trickling in texts. They're asking, do you think this will trigger an actual movement for people to start waking up and changing their mind? I mean, I can only hope so, but you just...
I just hope it doesn't start silencing people. I mean, because that lets guys like that shooter win. Mm-hmm. It's trying to silence, and we just have to keep speaking out, and people have to keep speaking out because we need to have those debates. And so Matt Dowd can sit there and, I mean, why doesn't he go over there? You don't like it? Debate with him.
Right.
That's all he was doing. I mean, it's stunning. It is really, really stunning. And again, I go back to these same people who you could burn down a police station. They're cool with that.
Yeah.
But this guy debating, oh man, that's hate. And this is crazy.
Well, because too, remember, Matthew Dowd is intellectually lazy now because he can't win the debate, right? So then he just says, yeah, hate speech. Okay. So why don't you actually have a debate on the merits?
And by the way, and these are the same people who wonder why ICE officers have to mask their faces.
Yeah.
In case of violence. Oh, this is just crazy why they do that.
Yeah,
what are
that?
they worried about?
Yeah.
This is what they're worried about.
Right.
Yeah.
From the left.
It's super frightening.
There's no doubt.
Well, and it gets worse, you guys, today. So in Congress, they wanted to do a call for prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. And I want to play the video of this because not everybody was on board with doing something as simple as just offering up a prayer for this family.
So what you'll hear in this video, because it is hard. So when I hit the play on this, just so you guys know, Mike Johnson is at the lectern, okay? And he says to Lauren Boebert from Colorado wants to do the prayer. Okay, so they were gonna they had a moment of silence, but Lauren Boebert was like, hey, can we say a prayer for Charlie Kirk? And then you're going to hear, it's tough to hear, but there is a swear word here, and I'm going to leave it in. But I do believe you hear Jasmine Crockett and some people pushing back that they do not want this to happen on the floor of the House. Again, he was taken down an hour and a half before this, right? And then this ends up being what and how it all shakes out.
Purposes, the gentlelady from Colorado rise.
That's Lauren Boebert. Here she comes. So she's asking for prayer here. A moment of prayer. So you hear them saying no.
Let's wait a minute. Just wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
So what she did
The House will be in order.
Was she dropped an F-bomb in the middle of the House floor, saying no, I don't want to do this.
And who do we think that was doing that?
No, it was Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah.
And remember, this isn't asking for a resolution supporting Charlie Kirk and everything.
No.
It's a pray for his life. At that time, he was in critical condition, and we can't do that.
Yeah, no. Heaven forbid we ever come together for the sake. It's like we're so divided on where we stand on these issues that we can't come together on a simple.
Well,
because you dehumanize people when the other side are Nazis and racists, and go figure.
And then again, that gets to the people that are deeply mentally ill. You fold them into this, and they are the tip of the spear that are unable to control themselves. So we've seen that in New Mexico. So here are a couple local examples of what has happened here in the state. Many of you know this. It happened earlier this year in March of 2025, and that's the Republican Party headquarters here was firebombed. I mean, literally, someone came in with a firebomb, threw it, and did a ton of damage to the RPNM offices. Again, this is no excuse for this whatsoever. You heard very little from any of our leaders on this. Nothing like you should have, standing up and saying enough of this. But we don't have those moments anymore, sadly. And so you continue to see political leaders hide in situations like this, and then it just keeps getting worse. Now, the Charlie Kirk situation, everybody has come out. Everybody, normal Politico has come out and said, we can't have this.
Right, you can't.
But that's, again, cold comfort when you see people like Gavin Newsom going out and saying, hey, we've got to punch these guys in the face. He's used that exact verbiage. Mm-hmm. So to some people, punching someone in the face is taking a long gun and taking a shot at them.
Well, I mean, again, like we've talked about this, on our show a lot, is just how important our rhetoric is, how important it is to be mindful and responsible from whether you're a newscaster or a leader or whatever. Jay, you mentioned it, but like when you were running for office, Mark, in the governor's race, a news report came out. They let a woman get on the air, say inappropriate things, violent things about what Mark was going to do to women, which was terrible. And the next day, our windows are shot out, right? And Mark's on the road. I'm at home. I have to call you, Jay, to come and make sure that we're okay here, and we're just one of a handful that's happened to. It's violence has happened to the other side as well here on a statewide level as well. So things like that it keeps perpetuating, and we keep saying, oh, this is I guess this is the new normal, and so you sign on for that. What was interesting was even after the Senate race, there was a man that continued to threaten Mark and our family. He wanted you off the air at the station. He kept making comments to you at the station. He would send you harassing emails. He was very threatening. He was making incredibly inappropriate comments about me and the girls, to the degree that the FBI ended up having to get involved with our case. And that man spent a year and a half behind bars, thank goodness, because again, it's a mental stability issue. And I think, we have to be paying attention to those loose cannons because they're out there. And it's just because, hey, I don't like you because you stand with this situation or you believe in this policy. So I believe that this is equal to, I can go after you violently. I don't know where that boundary, that boundary got so mixed up lately.
Well, I just think you can have really tough debates about issues. And they want to attack Mark because he's going to give tax breaks to businesses and, going to cut whatever. You can have that debate. Yeah. When you start saying so-and-so is a Nazi who is going to destroy our democracy in our country and lock women up in that's where you cross a line. And it used to be, you said something like that. You called someone a racist. Oh, you better have the receipts.
Yeah.
You know,
you better David
you
Duke
better
that
have
thing
receipts, or it's gonna. And if you called someone a Nazi, your career was probably over.
Well, and I think that was
But
the
not
biggest, that was the issue that I had, and I let the TV station have it the day that I was like, why would you air this just open air press conference with some girl that doesn't know Mark from a hole in the wall, get up there and have access to a mic, and then it wasn't live. They edited it and they aired it multiple times. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, this is what incites violence right here. And yet you don't take ownership of that. It's not true. You don't come to our side of the campaign to get our response on that story. You just let it just run. And I think, more dangerously, you look at other situations. Brett Kavanaugh, with the Supreme Court justice, he was almost taken down in 2022. If you guys don't remember,
this one was so close, right?
Right.
I mean, looking back at it,
and it was instigated by Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
I mean, and you go back to, they're not even supposed to be protesting in front of those houses.
Right.
And this happens and it gets downplayed.
Yeah, I believe the exact words from Chuck Schumer were, you reap what you sow.
Yeah, you reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow. And then he was basically saying, he was opening up the wide open opportunity to go out there and take a shot at one of our Supreme Court justices. There's no question he would have died. This guy would have killed him. They found him with a gun. He was going to kill him. So how many more times does this have to happen? And then the Luigi Mangione thing, right? So he does this. Mangione goes and guns down the head of United Healthcare. And what's the response? The response is, okay, let's set up a defense fund for this clown and give him a ton of money. Like, what are they
you
doing?
You had newscasters that were, talking about how attractive the guy was and how, that we just need to hear the side of him and what, and insurance bad. So therefore this is justified. I mean, and on the flip side too, I mean, you look at somebody like Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania, which we don't have a headline for that, but you guys will recall that is how, the governor of Pennsylvania, clearly a Democrat, but people disagreed with him and they lit his house on fire. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, there is
look what just happened in Colorado. It just happened on, because of the anti-Semitism where the woman was killed. I mean, this violence, I just think, continues to get worse and worse and worse because it's not called out clearly enough.
But what
it's just blurred.
Yeah.
It's both sidesism.
Oh, yeah.
It's this, you said he was soft on crime, and that's the same as him calling you a Nazi racist. It's not.
No, it isn't. And so I want to ask you guys, where do you think we go from here? What is the first of all, Jay, you're going to be involved in campaigns going forward here. What do you think this does to the political environment in 2026?
I just think we have a very polarized political environment, and this is kind of why. And what Charlie Kirk was so great about it is he was crossing to have people talk who disagree with each other and talk to people. You see on social media or everything else, you just get served what you agree with, Yeah. I'm just got all this motorcycle racing stuff and cowboy stuff. There's, I guess there are other teams and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's the problem. And so where do we go? I don't know. I think it's very polarized. And I think people have to start demanding more from, elected officials. Unfortunately, the more, in the left calls someone a Nazi, the more money they raise on their email appeals. And so they're going to keep doing it.
We just got another breaking news announcement here from FBI Director Kash Patel. It says the subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in interest of transparency. So as of the time of us recording this,
which is 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6
Mountain
o'clock
time on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, they are still on a manhunt looking for the suspect in today's violent act against Charlie Kirk. And our prayers obviously are with this family. His poor wife, they got married in 2021, his 2 young daughters. I just think about that. I'm sure she's just sitting there going, what in the world? Like
these kids, my heart breaks for them. And you think of these kids that lost, the conservative movement lost a lot. The country lost someone who was, contributing a lot to it. But you think of those 2 kids that because he was debating, because someone didn't like his ideas on issues, these kids now don't have a dad.
Yeah.
It's outrageous.
I do think one of the impacts on this could be sort of the red pilling of younger people that realize, oh my gosh, if you go in and say what you really think, you've got certain people in this country that will do anything in their power to shut you down. And I think that's a repellent philosophy, and I think it will push more and more young people are already moving in the direction of conservatism, which is kind of amazing, right? But I think this could make that could hasten that move. It really could, and I think there has to be some understanding on the far left, or really in the mainstream Democratic Party, to say enough of this.
Well, yeah, and
when are they going to have their sister soldier moment where they say we're not doing this anymore? It's what Bill Clinton did when he was running for president. He stood up to his own party and said, "Stop, enough."
And it starts mainstream media. It starts on college campuses too, where professors stop trying to indoctrinate.
Yeah,
but I'm not holding my breath for that, to be honest.
Yeah. There's no doubt. Christy, thoughts on where you think this is going?
Well, I mean, number one, my hope first and foremost is that they catch the person that's responsible for this, and the maximum sentence could be issued to,
which is in the state of Utah, death.
Yeah, and it should be at this point. You just took the life of a young father and husband. So obviously that's top concern. My second concern really is how we manage moving forward, especially for our youth. Obviously that goes to my heart right away, is because a lot of my students love him. They actually have gone and met him on campuses. They've done the debate. They got excited because they got to get on video with him. I mean, they're big supporters of him. So tomorrow as I go into these classrooms, I'm thinking about these kids and how impacted they're going to feel, and how do I begin to explain this? And then, again, part of the class I teach is about rhetoric and being responsible with it. It is not supposed to be used to get people all fired up in a negative, violent way, right? That's one of the things I teach, is that, you look at somebody like Martin Luther King, who really used rhetoric not for violence, but to try to make change. And so when you see somebody like a Charlie Kirk, these young kids see this as an influence, and then how, what happens to him, I just fear for our youth. I want our youth to still feel like what Jay's saying, your voices still need to be heard. We should not be a country that is fearful of voicing what we stand by, and our love for our country, our love for our faith should not be diminished. And so I hope, and my prayer is that we all find a way as parents, as teachers, as guardians of these young people to carry on with what Charlie Kirk was after, which is, again, freedom of speech, freedom of having a healthy discussion and debate, and having the right to be heard and to disagree in a respectful way.
And he was voicing his opinions on stuff, but he was listening to the other side. And that's something else. You have to be able to listen to the other side. I mean, I do it. You have to listen because you have to be able to beat them in their arguments.
Right.
But the other thing is you have to be able to listen to people, because it's really, the more you do that and the more you understand, it doesn't necessarily going to change where you're coming from, but there's a respect thing that goes, and it's very hard to they become humans when you do that. And I think that's something that he did. He was, all right, talk to me, prove me wrong, and that's giving someone respect. People don't listen to each other anymore. They don't listen to the
Here's
other
a
side.
question I have for you guys, and Mark, you answered the question you just asked us, but add to that is, we were pretty frustrated, especially as we covered the Trump, assassinations on Trump's life, and we heard very little follow-up, right, for months after that situation on the individual. Do you guys think we're going to hear more about this suspect?
Yes, because the federal government in charge with it's Trump's. So the answer is going to be yes. Okay. You're going to hear a ton.
Okay. And I think because it's like, your daughter saw him first. My son sent it to me right away before I got any alerts. He's so big among the youth and it's going to be so loud. I think in areas where we're not normal, it's not on the social media stuff. I think this is going to be big. This feels big to me.
This feels really big, and I think it's big for some of the reasons you're talking about, social media, and this is JFK in the respect that you see it. It's there on video,
right?
And it's devastating. Mm-hmm. I thought when I watched that video, I thought this must be AI. When you watch the full version, it's awful. Please don't do it. I wish I could not do it. I can't get it out of my head.
Right.
But that's what you saw with JFK. And it is now. I get that he was a president. I'm not equating the two in that respect. But it is important. And Jay, given your point on TikTok and everything else, this video's everywhere. It's everywhere, and so everyone's going to see it. in that respect. So I think that makes this a total game changer. It's not something that happens where you don't see it. And in the Trump situation, Trump survived. It hit his ear, but had he turned his head, that would have been, that same sort of thing.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's absolutely much bigger than I think we're even accounting for right now.
And I'm sure I'm expecting to hear from Trump. I imagine he'll do some sort of press conference on this, fairly certain. I mean, would you guys expect that or no?
Yeah, I assume he'd be pretty emotional about it too, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were pretty close with him. I know that he gives Charlie Kirk a lot of credit for drumming up support for him, especially with the younger voters.
And it's like you bring up JFK, and no one's equating, to a president. But it's the fact that this man was out there being a patriot, debating in the public arena about issues and gets killed. Like that can't that's huge. Like that is huge. And as a country, you got to take notice. Like, whoa, I don't. Jasmine Crockett disagree with everything. If that was her, like that's out. You'd say the prayer. You would say the prayer. You'd say the prayer.
Yes,
and you'd be outraged. And that's why to me it's big because it's what he was having a debate on a college campus.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden that's too offensive, we're going to start shooting at people. That's outrageous.
Yeah. And you wonder too, and it's always difficult because what we're going to tell our kids is don't be afraid to stand up and speak out. Meanwhile, they're looking at video of someone having their life ended right in front of them for standing up and speaking out.
Right. And that's where you hope it doesn't have the silence effect.
Right. But we're putting a lot on our kids to do that. We're saying to them in a pretty big way, trust us, keep speaking out. They're looking at it going, really?
Well, I know. And trust me, even the conversation I had with Ava, who was pretty shaken up by this, quite honestly, she, she's one of your biggest fans as far as being out there and let's talk about policy.
Well, in all fairness, just real quickly before you get going, in all fairness, we had a dust up with Charlie Kirk. We did. Mm-hmm. Charlie said some stuff that was less than complimentary of me. Mm-hmm. He did. Now, we don't need to get into it. It doesn't matter now, and we didn't hold any grudge against that. But Ava was like, oh, I don't know about Charlie. And Ava was not some huge hit because we directly had a little back and forth with him. We had a disagreement, it happens in politics. But you still respect him and realize what an incredible journey he was on.
Well, and again, you can disagree with people all you want.
Right.
You can't end their life. That's the line. And you see our daughter who loves to debate was looking so forward to having Charlie Kirk come to her campus. She was hoping to watch this in real time, And I feel like the video unfortunately has really shaken her, and just the whole concept of, wait, this really does happen. It happens to people that are not our president. I think that's the way her mind is kind of processing this. And that does concern me is how this is going to be talked about in schools. And again, the media better step up. I don't have any faith that they will, but I certainly hope they don't come back and say this was on him and this was his fault and all that. That will be the most disappointing answer, or that we bury this and this is yesterday's news story in 24 hours. Then we haven't learned anything.
I don't think it will. I really don't.
I think it feels bigger to me. I mean, it really does.
I agree. And I think you're going to see some of this. Now, the both sidesism is what I think you're going to get. I think that's what you're going to get. You're going to get the temperature is too hot politically on both sides. It needs to calm down. When the reality of the situation is it's more one-sided.
Yeah, no. I mean, we have, idiots that have done
there's no question. We had a guy in New Mexico.
There's a militant left movement, and there just is, and you're ignorant if you don't see that.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, you guys, thanks very much. This was not our anticipation in doing this show this way. We had another show for you. It's actually a show that I think we're going to take a lot of the elements of and do on Sunday. There is some stuff happening in the mayor's race that will absolutely blow your mind. And it is, you look at what the mayor of Albuquerque is trying to do and using local media to try to do it with your tax dollars. We were just like, holy cow, we didn't believe it. But we are going to have that for you on Sunday. We're going to have some other stories as well. But again, when you get the opportunity to pray tonight, please pray for Charlie Kirk's family. Please pray for him. I think he's somebody who made his faith in Christ very well known. So I think eternity is secured, but his poor wife and his beautiful little kids will never have their dad around because somebody decided that they could take it into their own hands. And let's be the people who make sure that we're always, fighting on the issues on whatever side you fall on, and make sure you're always respectful of other people. So thanks so much. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching the No Doubt About It podcast, and we'll see you back here coming up on Sunday.
You've been listening to the No Doubt About It podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We had a blast. Make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at No Doubt About It Podcast.
No doubt about it.
The No Doubt About It podcast is a Choose Adventure Media production. See you next time on No Doubt About It.
There is no doubt about it.